Hello, everybody. My name is Joey Tomchuk, and today I'm going to talk about whether or not the MLB should pursue a salary cap. So first of all, looking back at sports history, your big four professional sports, the NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. And looking back in time, there's periods of time that were dominated by a specific team or several teams. Look at the NHL. The Oilers, Canadians dominated the 70s. The Lakers, the Celtics dominated the 80s in the NBA. The Steelers have won a bunch of championships back in the day, and the Yankees have won 27 World Series, throughout their historic franchise. And this is kind of where I'm going to bring in the idea of competitive balance, and that's kind of what leagues have kind of sought to pursue over the past few years, kind of increase the competitive balance of their leagues. And what that means is they want their leagues to become more fair. They want more teams to have a chance year in and year out, more teams to make the playoffs, and hopefully eventually more teams can win championships. So one way teams have kind of sought to do that is through the use of salary caps. So what a salary cap essentially is basically the limiting of a team's payroll. They're limiting their ability to spend. The NFL, NBA, NHL, they all have traditional salary caps where they have a cap floor and a cap ceiling, meaning they're required to spend a certain amount, and they are limited by the amount they can spend with the hard cap. The MLB is a little different. They have a luxury tax system, which kind of has a soft cap where they are allowed to spend up to a certain amount, and once they hit that amount, they then become taxed on every dollar they spend above that. Another reason the MLB is different from the other salary caps in professional sports is kind of the lack of a cap floor or a minimum cap requirement. So basically, MLB teams are not required to spend any certain amount of money. They're just solely taxed for the more they spend. Which is a little different than what the other leagues have been doing as of late. So here you're looking at the current MLB outlook. You can see 2019 opening day payrolls throughout the league. I think this is a huge thing to look at because if you look down at the bottom, see the Red Sox opening day payrolls, $213 million. And there's actually 5 teams with an opening day payroll of less than a third of what the Red Sox are spending this year. That's 5 teams is an absurd number of teams to be spending that little. And when you look at the other traditional salary caps around other sports, their minimum cap floor is usually about 75 to 90% of the maximum cap ceiling that teams are required to spend. So that's a huge difference in the MLB, and I think that's why the MLB could use a salary cap here. And also here, looking at different World Series teams over the past few years, you can see historically most teams that make the World Series have are among the leaders in salary cap and payrolls, among leader in payrolls, with the exception of the Royals and the Mets had a little bit of a stretch in 14-15 where they were exceeding the odds there. Also not pictured in this graphic is the 2018 World Series, which actually pictured the Red Sox and the Dodgers were both top 3 in overall payroll, which shows kind of where this trend is heading. So kind of it's going to lead me to my proposed solution. I think a perfect fit for the MLB would kind of be a blend of a hard and soft salary cap, similar to what the NBA has. A key element of this cap would be a cap floor, which would require teams to spend up to a certain amount, which would definitely force several teams to start spending a little more than they've traditionally seen, which will kind of increase the flow of money around the league. And then a soft cap ceiling, which, similar to the NBA and kind of similar to what the MLB has now, there will be a soft cap where teams are advised to spend under that, but then once they spend over that, they will face luxury tax. But then I also have a hard luxury tax cap, meaning teams can't just exceed the soft cap by any amount they want. There'll be a certain amount they can exceed it by, and they will still, I think they should face harsher penalties for when they do exceed that soft cap ceiling, such as larger tax penalties, even larger than they are right now, as well as kind of the forfeiture of draft picks. But to me, the key element for this, like the big thing for this proposed solution, is the idea of a cap floor. I think by pushing, those 5 teams I said earlier, are probably with a cap floor, you end up pushing probably 10 teams spending much more than they've historically spent, which, like I said, will introduce kind of a wider array of where the money is flowing, which will increase money available both to free agents, as well as kind of just get those better teams allow them to field better teams. And I think that's kind of what can help promote competitive balance across the MLB, which is kind of the goals of the solution would be definitely to increase the competitive balance and the parity of the league, get more teams involved, get more teams playing postseason baseball. I said there will be increased available funds for free agent spending, but overall, the main goal is really to increase fandom and the attractiveness of the MLB. Get more fans involved with their team. If teams are better, teams have a chance. Their fans will start increasing and they'll pay more attention to the sport of baseball, which should overall really just increase the enjoyment and enthusiasm of the league and hopefully keep growing the great sport of America's pastime. Thanks.